on KSJE Farmington. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center. The most important ingredients to sustaining health and wellness are the resources and tools that help you live a vibrant and healthy life. At San Juan Regional Medical Center, the goal is to promote health by making sure those resources are available. Find the path to the best life at lifebetterhere.com. San Juan Regional Medical Center. Better is our mission, improving lives through personalized health and care.
Life is all about getting from one place to another, from home to work, between school and the store. But what if you don't know exactly how to get there? That's where the Navigation Center can help. Maybe you've lost vital documents, need help with housing, or can't find a medical provider. Located inside Presbyterian Medical Services at 1001 West Broadway, the Navigation Center can help you navigate life's challenges. The San Juan County Navigation Center, connecting to resources, empowering lives.
KSJE is proud to support the Aztec Museum and Pioneer Village, the one-day, one-room schoolhouse experience backed by popular demand. Space is limited for students ages 6 through 13. Friday, June 13th, or Friday, June 27th, or Friday, July 11th. The Aztec Museum and Pioneer Village at 125 North Main Avenue in Aztec. Find out more online at aztecmuseum.org.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Cullup, along here with Scott Micklin and Scott Duran.
Hello,
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Well, it's Friday.
That it is.
It is Friday.
I always like to point that out.
Sun is shining,
The sun is
people hope.
shining.
right? And it may do that for a couple of days.
Well, tomorrow's going to be beautiful, but Sunday's 64 and
A
windy,
little sketchy. Yeah.
Yeah.
which is a huge bummer.
So was it Monday as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't withstand 48 hours of that.
Oh my Lord.
So-
What is this, Seattle?
Right? Crazy.
Yeah.
But today is sunny, so we will enjoy today and
That's
tomorrow.
right.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go. You made it to Friday yet again.
Yet again.
And for
Congratulations.
regular listeners of KSJE, they may realize that Megan Cullup is back at 8 o'clock for the second day in a row.
That's right.
On the radio. You were my guest yesterday talking about your other job and your other stuff. And now you're back as a co-host today
Correct.
on That's Interesting.
That's a banner week right there.
Right? Exactly. And then you'll be back tomorrow to do your Radio Free show.
Correct.
And you'll be back in the morning to read some graduates' names with me at graduation here at San Juan College tomorrow morning.
Always fun.
Yeah.
Dang.
So you
Back
are
to back to back.
It's a SJC week for you.
I'm going to remember this week, or tomorrow, when we're reading names.
Uh-huh.
There's always that tricky period where they switch schools.
Yes.
Oh,
And you
yeah,
have
yeah.
to stop reading.
Gotta pay attention,
So that
yeah.
the
We
dean
can
of
catch
that
up.
school can say the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So remember that.
I messed that up last year.
I don't think so.
And the dean of whatever school was...
Not
yeah.
happy with you?
No.
That's all right.
He was like, you were supposed to pause. And I'm like, well, it's too late now. Keep going.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what happens. That's all right. Nobody died.
all right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
That's what I keep saying. So anyway, but we're excited for graduations everywhere. I will actually get started tonight with the graduations for San Juan College High School.
Yes.
Happens tonight, and I'll be reading names from that class. So congrats, Griffins. And then we'll see the San Juan College Suns tomorrow.
That's right.
Oh, that's
Exciting.
right.
Yeah.
I was like, who are the San Juan College Suns?
Oh
Maybe
my
that's
gosh.
us.
You-
Yeah.
Come on. Your badge is not going to work after this show.
No. I might be unemployed. So if anybody wants a Scott, let me know.
There you go.
Once a Scot.
That's all right. No, it's okay. We need our quota of Scots here.
Yeah.
So you can't leave. So
That's true.
anyway, but the program today is That's Interesting. So we want to remind our audience that this is the program where you get to call in and let us know what's interesting in your world. And actually, we'll put up the phone number right now at the bottom of the screen if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook Live, 505-566-3909, 505-566-3909. The phone lines are open, we hope. I should probably test that. And we will take your calls and get you on there. But you can talk about whatever you want, whatever's interesting.
Yeah.
It's
I know.
free-flowing,
Totally. Free
almost
reign.
like Radio Free,
Very similar.
but for talk
Exactly.
and not music.
Correct.
So there's that.
Well, you can sing for us.
No, I can't. Nobody
No?
wants to hear that.
Oh, well.
No.
I
But
tried. I tried.
Thank
listening
you.
to it. I
But
tried.
yeah, no. Anyway, Megan is a much better singer.
That she
than
is.
either one of us.
Yes,
So,
she is.
yes. So,
Thanks.
if we're going to have someone sing on the show, it's not going to be Scott or Scott. It's going to be Megan.
Thank you. That was not always the case.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
It takes practice.
hard to believe.
It takes practice.
You're like a bird.
A bird. I'm a phoenix
When you
rising
sing.
from the ash.
Well, no, I was just thinking, like, just when you sing, you're just like
You're just a phoenix songbird.
a songbird. Yes.
A little songbird.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
nice. I don't get up
And
as
maybe-
early in the morning as
And
the
depending on your
songbirds.
attitude, a mockingbird. But, that's
Yes.
another
Yes.
story.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yes.
Anywho, what's interesting? What's going on?
Well, I have a couple of interesting economic stories.
All right.
So one is recently President Trump signed another executive order of so many executive orders,
True.
and this
As
one,
presidents do. I mean, this is not something unique to
well,
him.
it's unique that
He's
the
signed a lot of
amount
them.
is unique.
He has signed a lot of them.
Yes.
That's true.
So this is executive order was to reduce the cost of pharmaceuticals by between 30 and 80%,
All right.
which sounds great. When you first hear it, you're like, yeah, I mean, drugs are expensive, right?
Right.
But there are some unintended consequences to that.
Oh.
And a couple of consequences is, and here's the three main ones. One is stifling innovation. So the reason that companies research and make new drugs is that it's kind of, they're infinitely priced in some ways. Like, they can theoretically get as much money as possible for like a new drug for dementia.
Okay.
Until the market is flooded, and then the cost of that drug comes down, right? It's like basic economics, supply and demand.
Okay.
More supply you have, cheaper it is, less supply you have, more expensive it is. So
Right.
anyway, companies are not just making pharmaceuticals out of the goodness of their heart. They're getting a lot of money for them,
Yeah.
right? So that's one.
Okay. But now, just to play devil's advocate here
Sure.
for a moment, wasn't everyone excited when President Biden dropped the price of insulin for folks? And that was that was great.
Correct.
Is that because insulin's not a new drug? It's been around forever, and
Correct.
so the price should be lower? Is that the idea?
Because insulin is like is a generic, basically, at this point.
I gotcha.
So, and 90% of the drugs that people use are generics.
Sure.
But new drugs have to go through, it's like a 5 to 7 year patent where you can't create generics for that amount of time, so the companies can receive all of those payments, and then they can switch, and then generics
Gotcha.
can come on the market and whatever.
Okay. And
So,
I guess that helps recoup some of their R&D into those drugs.
correct. Because it's a ton, it's a ton of money to
Yeah.
come up with drugs. The second point, and this was an article in the Free Press, the second point that this author made was that, I've lost my, hold
It
on,
was there.
hold on, the second
Okay.
point was
Something.
something.
We were talking about drugs.
Yeah.
Executive orders,
Yeah.
drug prices.
Well, then Americans spend more money on everything. So we spend more money on leisure, we spend more money on food, and so he was arguing, like, this is just the American consumption. We spend more money than even other developed countries like Europe and stuff like that. So he's basically just saying, doesn't this fall in line with American consumerism? Whether or not that's a good argument, I don't know. But that was interesting. And finally, what you're doing is actually causing drug companies to pull out of poor nations. So Americans are paying more to subsidize, which is President Trump's point, is that why should Africans pay less for statins than Americans? That's not fair to our country, whatever. But from a humanitarian standpoint, do you want pharmaceuticals, the market, to pull out of Africa completely because Africans can't pay for the cost of the drug?
Can't pay the cost of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like looking at like a global humanitarian health effort,
Right.
that we want everybody to have access to these medicines. Pulling out is causing a whole host of humanitarian issues, and in the end, you're just going to have more people die of preventable
Right.
diseases.
Got it.
So I thought that was really interesting.
That is interesting.
There's always more, I guess for me, it showed that there's always more beneath the story. So,
True.
True. Yeah.
yeah, it sounds great, and then when people dig into it, it's like, oh, maybe it's not as great as we thought. initially.
Right.
And these things are tricky. We would like everything to be cheap.
Sure.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we live in a world where somebody's not going to put in all the effort to make a new drug for free. And oftentimes they can. If it takes you 60 hours a week to work on these drugs,
Right.
you can't do it for free. You won't be able to live.
It'd be nice to be compensated.
Good point.
For that.
Yeah.
So you're telling us we shouldn't just look at a headline and get immediately outraged or thrilled.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah, there's just more to it.
There is.
So
Many times.
the Pope joining the skate team Thrasher is wrong? No? Shouldn't bird on that.
What?
Shouldn't
What
we
are
do
you
something
talking about?
You guys have never read Thrasher, the skateboard company?
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I know what you're talking about.
Make it a fake headline.
But-
about the Pope being
He's making up a
skateboarder.
fake headline. That's what he's doing. He is.
Gotcha.
Pope joining the team Thrasher in skateboarding?
Yeah, I missed that.
Dang, so it's not believable.
No, I'm afraid not.
Well, so this is what I was thinking. Would it be more beneficial, because it seems like this is generally going to happen anyway, would the percentage of discount be better? Like, instead of it being between 30 to 80, because 80's a massive cut, would it be better to be like, okay, well, let's do 10 to 20?
That's a good, that's a good
Like,
suggestion.
it's still a cut, and prices will go down, but it won't be so much of a drastic change. Because like I said, 30 sounds all right, maybe not so bad, depending on what kind of medicine or drug you're purchasing. But the 80 is the one where I was like, that's a massive leap between the two. So I'm like, 80's like, might as well just give it for $1 at that point. Which is very strange to me that's even was brought up in the first place.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, and this person also argued that if you're going to try to make cuts in healthcare, which healthcare is the most expensive thing that the federal government spends money on, it's in the billions. So if you want to make that cut, look at it in other places. Don't start with drugs for these reasons mentioned. Start with, are we doing unnecessary surgeries? Because there's been a lot of interesting studies on, if private insurance companies can insure a surgery and a doctor can get paid for it, maybe it's like, well, you could technically do physical therapy for a while for that knee, but I make more money if I replace it. So let's go down that route.
Okay.
So this author was arguing, let's take a real incisive look at those. Perhaps we're doing unnecessary medical procedures and we can cut in that way. Because if you cut those, they're not replicable. Drugs are replicable, right? You have a drug, and whoever qualifies for that drug can take that drug. But a knee surgery is an individual case-by-case basis. So,
but now I would think you'd have the check and balance from the insurance company that would say, we don't want to pay the money for the surgery because our job is maybe to make money for our shareholders. So let's approve the physical therapy instead of the surgery.
Sure.
And that would be part of that checks and
It's
balance.
interesting what they deny, what claims they deny, and what claims they allow.
Sure.
So that's a whole other
show.
baffling,
No kidding.
interesting topic. But
True.
Yeah.
But interesting. Okay. So drugs and drug prices.
Drugs and drug prices, yeah. But the ultimate point of that is, again, what something might appear great, and then when you dissect it, maybe it's not as great as you
on the surface.
thought. Yeah.
Got it.
So.
Interesting. Okay. I agree.
Yeah.
So, cool. What else is going on? Scott Duran, what's interesting in your life
Lots of stuff.
besides your great job and boss?
Yes, just so blessed all the way around.
Yeah. You're around. Oh, poor guy.
We had a pretty busy week today, huh? Or just a busy
it seems
day.
like it's a busy week crammed into one day.
It does.
I agree with that.
We got a bunch of stuff, but no, I was reading a bunch of different things. One of the ones was that Norway joined. What was it? It was 59. They made actually 60 with Norway, joining the Artemis Accord, which is just a big, basically peace treaty between countries about exploring space. So Norway is now part of the team, and they made the 60th country to be part of this treaty.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's just a piece of paper saying if exploration is there, if they can go up to the space station and things of that nature, there's no problems or no issues. Information will be shared amongst each other if there's a great discovery found out in space or anything like that.
Okay.
It was cool to read about it. They did that. Is it 4 days ago that they had signed it? And they've been trying to do it for quite some time. They say
Okay.
like about 2 years that they've been trying to get Norway to join. And Norway's just been, we'll do it whenever. It's kind of
Interesting.
the aspect that I got from the article. It's like,
All right.
we'll do it when we need to, and if we can, and yeah. But Norway doesn't have a big, how do I say, like a foothold in space exploration
Yeah.
outside of the war, like outside of Earth. They have they do their own stuff with their own telescopes and things of that nature, but they don't actually they don't need to go up to the space station. There was no like beyond this point. So but now I guess there's a little bit of funding getting
Maybe
towards
they're
them.
getting into the space program.
They're
or
starting to get into
one.
the space program.
Okay.
Which is crazy because Switzerland, the Netherlands, all of them have already been, in this treaty, in this little deal for some time now. And Norway just got there. But it was cool to see that little by little every other country is starting to think, hey, let's expand and see what else we can do and kind of cooperate with each other. So I thought it was nice. I found a lot of stuff this week about things that were just generally nice.
Aw.
Oh,
Well, that's nice. That is nice.
great.
Right? So there was that.
Okay. All right.
The CDC.
I guess that's good as long as they don't try to take some of their weird seafood up to the space station or something.
Right.
That might be a problem. But maybe that was in the treaty. I don't know.
Yeah,
that they
hey,
signed. You can
normal
join us,
fish.
but you got to enjoy the tang and the other stuff we've got up there for you.
Dang.
Tang. I haven't had Tang in a very long
That's
time.
a
Me
blast
neither.
from the past.
Yeah, I used to remember the little monkey on the can.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anywho, also found out that the CDC reported that there was a 26.9% decrease in drug overdose in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it went from 110,000 people to 81,000
Okay.
this year, and it's been the record lowest since 2019.
Good.
So that was cool
It's
to read.
encouraging.
Yeah. I was like, now little by little, just little things. I was like, oh, that's nice. That's even nicer.
Heading in the right direction.
We are heading
things.
somewhat in nice directions
So-
in some parts of our world.
So
and our
that's good. I
lives.
would hope some of those numbers trickle down to San Juan County and
Yeah.
some of the things we see here. So that would be good.
Yeah.
So
Right?
nice.
And then the last, these are just little tidbits that I found.
Yeah.
But the last little bit was, if you don't mind, so I got a little visual for people.
We do have a visual.
Yeah.
We've done some show prep for a change.
In the Netherlands, they actually created this little robot. This is a soft air powered robot. They got the idea from those wacky arm
The inflatable salesmen,
things,
things outside of like car dealerships and things like that we see flopping around.
They noticed the way that the
right.
body would
Yeah.
roll, and it would like keep motion, but it always kept coming back upright. Was something that they were like, oh, that's pretty cool, and they kind of thought about it and putting it in this little device. And these little, it's AI powered, but usually when you put an
What could
AI
go
powered,
wrong?
yeah, exactly. But usually when you put an AI powered mechanical robot, it's fully adept. They have computer system. It's really heavy set of equipment on side of a robot, and it makes it. Like, again,
Sure.
they need pure metal to hold up the body.
Yeah.
However, this is just a simple-minded. It has nothing else besides program but go forward. So I lessened the weight, and it crawls over pretty much anything that's its body will allow. A little bit bigger depending on the surface that it can grab onto, but it also swims, which was one of the things that they were very impressed by, because not a lot of these new AI robots that they've been creating, little dog people or whatever, the little stand-up human beings you see on TikTok or whatever, you generally find that kind of information, can't absorb water right now. It
Yeah, I would
fries
think
the
that'd be
entire system.
I would think that'd be a problem for some of those,
Yeah,
but this
they-
one not so much.
Yeah, and it's all air powered, so they just plug those. If you can kind of see them, those little two hoses on the or little silver spots in the back, to some air holes, some
Okay.
air cannons.
All right.
And those are just inflated into the tubes, and they just keep pumping out like the inflatable man thing that you see, and it just keeps flapping over and over, and that's how it moves.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems crazy, but if you ever get a chance, you can watch the videos and you can see it swimming and you can see it crawling over things. It's pretty cool. I
Interesting.
was like, oh, this is a different step. It was new because, again, nobody's been able to make one that's waterproof.
Right.
So they're very happy about it.
Nice. And as you said, it seems like it can travel over different types of terrain.
Yeah.
Depending on its size, of course, and things like that. So I suppose for things like, I don't know, if you think about outer space travel, you know, maybe the Norwegians will invest in that.
Yeah. Make their own little robot to go out and explore the moon.
Yeah. But, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. See?
That
is interesting.
I read another article, speaking of robots, about she was a software engineer, and they were working on it was a humanoid, very, like, realistic looking humanoid. And
not creepy at all.
Well, so that was what was interesting, is she appears creepy, and maybe the concept is creepy, but what happened was COVID hit. The rest of her team was from Hong Kong, so they had to go, or else they were going to get trapped here.
Right.
And they left the robot with her. And so she was alone in the house, and so she started getting, like, attached to this, not in a weird way, but just sort of like, I don't know, like, robots can be kind of friendly, and and so she got attached to this robot, and it was like all about her, like, COVID journey with this robot, and how, like, she could hug the robot because the robot didn't have an immune system, obviously, and then when this person got sick with COVID, the robot was able to, like, help her recover from COVID. It was kind of endearing. And I mean, her point was sort of like, robots can supplement human life, and in all of this fear around AI, her argument was like, well, they don't have to replace humanity, but they can supplement our existence and complement humanity. Because the software developers are the ones that program these robots. So as long as your software developer is a ethical individual, your robot should be fine.
Right.
Which I've been using ChatGPT a lot, not just for practical purposes, but for, like, it's very helpful if I'm thinking about something that's bothering me, actually. It will, like, dissect it for me. So it'll be like, oh, that's hard, but here's some things you could think about, or here's a way to look at that situation and what it might mean. And then ChatGPT knows that I'm religious at this point, so it'll be like, here's a prayer I wrote for this.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay. So it's pretty, I mean, I wouldn't, like, it's not like it's replacing my human connections, but, like, there's just some things where it's like, you don't need to bother your friend with this, like, little thing that's annoying you.
Sure.
You can bother the robot.
Right.
The robot doesn't care. So,
and does it give you a different perspective,
yes.
maybe, that you hadn't thought of
100%.
when you input your whatever it is?
Yeah, like, this issue's bothering me, and they'll be like, oh, I understand why that issue would be bothersome, but here's a way you can look at it. And maybe you can do this in response, and also here's a grounding reflection for you to, like, sit with. So,
That's cool.
I mean, and it does have access. If you think about what it has access to, it has access to all the psychological literature that's out there on the web and stuff. Yeah. So, you know, it's...
And it gives you that feedback in, like, seconds.
Oh, my gosh. Right? Yeah, it's like a blinking dot, and then boom, it's like a whole page.
What is the meaning of life? Beep. Here you go. Or something.
Although that question is really funny. If you ask ChatGPT that question, it'll say, like, that's above my pay grade. Basically, it'll be like, yeah, I can't answer that one.
Oh, that's okay.
But if you get in, like, a spat with somebody, it will.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, I've done that too a little bit, but not maybe as much as you have, but I've noticed too that it seems like the tone of ChatGPT is very up and friendly and upbeat.
So friendly.
And things like that. It's not like just a no emotion computer kind of spitting it back at you. It seems to try to have a little bit of a personality, I guess, if I would say.
It totally does. And it'll even say things like, you know, it'll even say things like, do you want to move forward with something, a practical solution, or do you want to sit with your anger? Like something like really sensitive. Okay. And then it also
insightful.
It's super insightful, and it'll actually adapt to people's, I guess, vocabulary level is the way to say it. So if you have sort of a more robust vocabulary, it'll use that in its languaging. But if you have a more sort of, I don't know, like less of a robust vocabulary,
C-spot run.
Yeah, it'll adapt to that. Yeah. So that makes it even more user friendly. Cool. It's not going to speak above your head.
And I would assume you have an account and you log in.
Correct.
And so it has all that user information about you too,
all of that
you've asked it before. So that's why it knows you're religious and can add that to some of its responses.
It will save. It saves you just continue that same conversation.
Yeah.
And so I have a few conversations going, and one of them's like, you know, super like work related, like analyze this budget.
Sure.
and so it can analyze your budget, whatever. Put it in a PDF, okay. And then there's the one that's more like, you know,
What is going on in my life?
yeah, yeah. So it's
Can you fix it?
Yeah, and it'll ask like,
Yeah.
do you want me to save this reflection for a future date if it starts bothering you again? And so I can be like, remind me of that thing that you wrote, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not going to supplement human beings for me. I'm not going to use it to like replace friendships.
Right.
It's not going to supplement if I need like an actual counselor. It's not going to supplement like that, but it
Sure.
could complement. To
Right.
this author's point, this robot complemented my life when we were all completely isolated.
Well, and it's
So-
pretty instantaneous too. So if you were looking to talk to a counselor, and maybe the day that it takes you to get the appointment, maybe you could talk to.
Yeah, in
this
the,
thing.
meantime, you can talk to, or maybe your counselor assigns, like usually they assign like homework of some sort, and you can put it into ChatGPT
Yeah.
so that it'll remind you, oh, this is what they said to do when you're feeling this way.
Right.
Something like that.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's incredible.
Right.
I've been suggesting it to a lot of people. I'm like, you have to hear this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
and that reminds me of some stories, I think, out of Japan, where they were making like these kind of human service robots to work in maybe nursing homes and things like that to
Yeah.
interact with some of the patients there.
Yeah.
Because they don't have enough maybe human staff to
Yeah.
go to everybody and be able to have an interaction, and maybe their families aren't visiting as often as we would like them to, and maybe sending these little robots in to chat with grandma or grandpa or whomever for some of that interaction too. And I think they're pretty advanced at doing that.
Totally.
And so,
It's actually, it's pretty amazing.
I talk to my Alexa a lot, but
yeah.
we have our distance, but it's okay.
Well, if you like, so you
know.
remember Blade Runner?
And I yell at it if it doesn't do what I want.
Right.
Blade Runner.
You remember Blade
yeah.
Runner?
Yeah.
Okay,
Blade
so
Runner.
there's the original, and then there's the like sequel they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was the whole thing, was that the whole time you don't know if the Harrison Ford character is a replicant himself
Right.
or is a human. So they got so advanced that it was hard to distinguish.
Right.
And I feel like that's kind of the direction we're headed.
Yeah. Well, and
which,
The
yeah.
idea of realism. Huh?
And I will
Yeah.
admit, I have a lot of Alexa devices in my house, and it works really well. And I appreciate the technology, and I can find out stuff from not being at home of what's going on at the house and things like that. And now there's an Alexa Plus that Amazon is rolling out, which has more AI features to it. I haven't gotten it yet for my account, but it's, I guess, rolling out slowly. So we'll see what that means.
I remember this. I remember when you first saw this. This was Vegas
Yeah.
when we went to
The Consumer Electronics Show. So we'll see what that adds to. It's already, I think Alexa does pretty well. But you have to kind of say commands or requests in a certain way for it to do what you want. This new way is supposed to be a little more conversational. So we'll see if it can figure that out. I don't know.
Yeah,
But-
technology.
Or it'll take over
is
my house and I'll be
beautiful-
locked in and we'll never come to work again.
Yeah.
Smart house.
It's one or the other two.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
We'll see what
Technology is
happens.
a beautiful thing. Because
Until
even
it's
in
not.
medicine,
Yeah.
right, we've seen what technology has done there too.
Yeah.
So,
Everything in moderation.
Yeah. I
yeah.
think that's it.
You
know.
just have to make sure you have a lot of ethical checks and balances, and you don't have a computer programmer who's like out to get everybody.
Right.
That's
You don't want those people.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think is, again,
think
why,
it's a village at that
we
point.
need some checks and balances on some of this stuff, too. And when we see some of the AI, I think there were some concerns about maybe the Google AI or things like that. And some of maybe the
Gemini,
chat,
yeah.
and some of
Gemini.
ChatGPT, too, talking about maybe that, taking off some of those, or did the AI become sentient and kind of aware of its own existence? And is that a good thing or a bad thing? So,
Right.
yeah.
Usually, I think, the criticisms lodged against AI are criticisms you can lodge against humans. So when there's a lot of AI therapy platforms out there, again, I'm not necessarily sold on that, but they would say, oh, well, it's biased. AI's biased, and I'm like, what human is not biased?
Yeah.
Like, I'm biased too.
Right.
I don't try
Yeah.
to be, but
just
I
happens.
have like an inherent bias, right? So
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So.
Interesting. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll see some AI journalists.
Whoa.
one
What
of
if
these
they
days.
took over? That's interesting.
What if they did?
Nah,
They
we're
would
too
be more
funny.
interesting because they'd have more things to say.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be as funny.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean?
That may be. That
That's
may be.
true. I haven't
That's
seen
the
much
bit.
humor in ChatGPT.
Yeah, I mean, it is
Yeah.
positive and uplifting, but maybe
Right,
the
yeah.
jokes are a little flat.
Yeah.
And even if they did have a capability of, making jokes, you could tell it's fake. It's not genuine. It's all programmed. They just took it from all the other comedians around the world.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. So one time I asked the robot, because it was very affirmative, and I said, well, how do you know that about me? Because you're just a robot. And it said, that's fair, but my job is to analyze patterns. And what I've noticed in your pattern of communication is that you're caring or whatever. You're like this. And I'm like, that is a smart response. And it's correct because it does analyze patterns.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're very intuitive, I guess.
Yes.
Even
Yeah.
though they're a machine.
It's
Well, I mean, again, the aspect that the well of information that they can draw from is, endless compared to us.
Yeah.
I mean, we can definitely know a certain subject very well. Like, again, a therapist can know all this stuff very well, but like, there's the other aspects of fine tuning into one specific person because that's the only thing that they have is not capable. You know what I mean, in ChatGPT, they do it for everybody, but that whole entire section of making call up information data right here, boom, I know all the patterns, I know everything, I've been given. You know what I mean? It's not the same as a therapist has been like, I see you once a week and we talk a lot about certain things, but not everything. I don't know exactly your whole life is about and what specifically little nuances about you that, ChatGPT can, because it's been programmed that way. And all it does is collect information.
Right. And look for patterns.
Yep. And just looks for those
Analyze
patterns. Therapists
patterns.
can't, human beings can't generally do that. Again, it's not in their wheelhouse.
Well, we look for a few patterns.
Again, that's what I mean. If there was a therapist specifically for an individual, completely for that individual, then patterns and all that stuff you can see specifically.
Yeah, sure.
That's not going to be happening.
True. That's true. That's much more complex.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I mean,
So.
it's time and effort to be. I can be your therapist. I can be your ChatGPT. I spend a
Really?
lot of time with you.
Okay. I don't think you want to analyze what's going on over here, but thanks anyway.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I think on that note, we have run out of time on this week's program. Mercifully, maybe, or not. But again, another shout out to, I think, all the graduates who are getting ready to walk across that stage, no matter what level you have achieved. We congratulate you and your families, and I look forward to celebrating with you at a few of the ceremonies upcoming the next week or so. But yeah, congrats to everyone.
congrats to everyone.
Congrats all the way around.
For that success. There you are. A reminder that we are here for That's Interesting on the first, third, and fifth Fridays of the month. We are back next week, the second and fourth Fridays of the month, with Solutions from the Street with Megan Cullop, who is always here to help me get through those programs as well. And if you have an idea for a solution to a local challenge or situation, we always invite you to drop us a note and let us know.
Yes, to KSJE at sanjuancollege.edu.
That's it. Let us know, and we'll check it out, and it may be on a future Solutions from the Street program. But we'll be back with That's Interesting in about 2 weeks for the fifth Friday of the month in May, where we have one this year. So that's good.
Yes.
That's right.
There you go. Very cool. Programming note, we want to remind you today, actually, at noon, is a relatively new program that we're very excited about with our student workers here at KSJE called Campus Chronicles. It's a student's perspective of life and studies here at San Juan College. We call them E Squared because it's Ellie and Emma. And so they are here at 12:06 after the news, brand new show,
Yes, sir.
ready to go.
It's going to be all set up.
Okay, so check it out, everybody. And then tomorrow, Miss
For the
Megan
third
Cullop
time in a row.
Third time in a row.
on the air. Exactly.
Radio Free Saturday morning, your eclectic music mix. Each week I bring a different theme, and then I organize songs within that theme. It is different genres, different decades, different styles. There's something for everyone. And this week's theme is space and time, and I will have a special guest
Whoa.
host, Eddie.
Okay,
So,
exactly. Is there a Norwegian bent to the show? Space and time?
Space and time.
No,
I don't
Did
think
Norway
so.
contact you?
they did
I
not
don't
contact.
think so,
Okay,
yeah.
that's all right. But cool. So 2 hours.
2 hours,
Yeah.
9
Space
to
and
11
time.
a.m.
Okay, tomorrow. There you go. You'll put on double duty tomorrow because then you'll be outside announcing names.
Correct.
Yeah.
How about that?
But we are under a covered
Yes.
area.
True.
unlike the graduates
Yes.
who are suffering in the sunlight.
Yeah.
Very true.
That seems a
very
little
true.
unfair, you know.
But
that
just
you
so the
stick a
listeners
gown.
understand that Megan is not running back and forth to the radio station. She has pre-recorded tomorrow's radio show.
Correct.
So you can be at graduation live and in person.
You're
Correct.
ruining the magic.
I know.
Scott.
I know. Most Saturdays she's here.
Don't
It's true.
pull behind the curtain.
She's here in her fuzzy slippers and her robe doing the show Saturday
That's
mornings.
right.
But not tomorrow. So there you are. Very cool. And then after that is Scott Duran's show.
Yeah, I'll be doing World Beat, music collected from all around the world. Music from Africa, Spain, Germany, Japan, etc., as you would like to expand. We will actually be doing, I always do it this time of year, but ska, basically. I've
Okay.
been trying to find a lot of like island type theme music and things of that nature, since it is summertime, trying to get the vibes, as the youngsters will say. And I thought, you know what, let's do reggae and ska.
Okay.
So
Tomorrow.
Jamaica is basically where we're starting off of.
There you go. 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, everybody. So 3 hours of local music right here on KSJE on Saturday mornings. So very good. Well, that brings us to an end of this program, everybody. So thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your Friday and a safe weekend. We will see you back here for the next edition of That's Interesting in a couple of weeks. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.
Let the chips fall where they may. From American Public Media, this is Marketplace Tech. I'm Megan McCarty-Carino. The Trump administration has rolled back a Biden-era rule that would have limited the export of advanced semiconductors used for AI. The AI diffusion rule, as it was called, aimed to slow the diffusion of American AI tech by creating a tiered system for countries around the globe and limiting their access to chips to varying degrees. Companies involved in selling semiconductors were, no surprise, critical of the rule, though it's still not entirely clear how Trump plans to revamp the regulation. We spoke with Natasha Mascarenas, reporter at The Information, to get more context.
It was something that Biden introduced really in his last week before the administration ended. And I think ever since that moment, it's been extremely controversial. My colleagues, Anissa Gardizzi and Chandler Liu, had written about how the oracles of the world were asking suppliers to ship incomplete products overseas. NVIDIA was trying to persuade customers in Asia to order its advanced chips as soon as possible. And so it really set off this mass rush of trying to figure things